and just like I fucking knew would happen, she copied my movements, rubbing up my erection between us. I fucking whimpered into her neck, fisting my hand into the grass, where hers once was. And I knew I was going to fucking hell for doing it, but I rubbed again, harder. And just like I knew she would, so did she. I was so far gone by that point, I resumed kissing her neck and licking, while I rubbed her slowly, feeling her doing the same to me, and trying to feel really fucking remorseful for doing it, but pathetically incapable. I sped my hand up, just fucking rubbing the shit out of everything in the general vicinity. My head was so fucking clouded as I licked and sucked her neck that I couldn't really focus on anything but all of her heat, and her little palm rubbing in unison with mine. She began curling her fingers around me as she rubbed, and I took it as a hint, pressing my thumb into her clit, while I rubbed with my palm, and groaning into her neck at the moan it elicited. She kept rubbing me like that, fucking desperately. And I did the same, panting into her neck, while she writhed against me with every tug of my hair. She was trying to push me over the edge, and the pressure was already building, forcing me to fist my hand deeper into the dirt at my side as I rubbed in sync with my girl. And if she was anything like me, it was definitely fucking possible to climax through jeans. So I worked on her harder, just fucking dying to give it to her, sucking her neck in the spot she liked while she rocked on top of me with every pass of her palm. She was making me moan and fucking whimper into her neck and try even harder to get her to that point. Her moans grew louder and breathless as her face became damp with a thin layer of sweat and flushed to slight red. Her writhes became desperate on top of me against my palm as she panted through her parted lips. And she was moving against my erection so fluidly, I whimpered into her neck and began moving along with her palm and her writhes. She liked the whimper. She fucking pulled my hair so tightly as she moved desperately against me, it almost made my eyes tear up. I clenched my fist into the ground further as the tension escalated and I rubbed her furiously. Still, the desperation grew, and so did the moaning. Fucking breathless, frustrated moans that made me suck on her neck harder as I pushed my palm rougher against her, moving it faster and groaning into her neck as she copied me. It was becoming a battle to hold it back, and I think my girl knew I was holding it back because she kept pulling my hair and curling her fingers around me tighter, her little hips rocking as she leaned on my shoulder. And I was so overcome with her smell and the feeling of both our palms that I was so afraid I was going to just fucking explode if she didn't find release soon. I was pondering telling her something dirty in her ear because I knew girls like that shit. But before I could, her whole body became suddenly stiff on top of me, the fist in my hair painfully clenching around all of my locks in her hand. I panicked, lifting my head from her neck, fucking panting, and looked at her face. She fucking shuddered, arcing her chest up as I rubbed still, though my hand was shaky, wondering if this was a bad thing or a good thing. Then she fucking did it. Her mouth opened, pouty red lips slightly parting, and emitting the single sexiest fucking sound in the world.
Edward.
She moaned my name. It was a deep moan of intense pleasure that I could only assume was her climax as she trembled on top of me, coming apart in my arms as I gazed at her closed eyes panting. I had seen so many expressions over the past months with Bella, but watching my girl come and feeling her curl her little fingers almost completely around my erection and roughly stroking me as she did it, undid me. I dropped my face back into her neck, moaning while I fisted my hand deeper into the earth at my side, and falling over the edge, lifting my hips into the palm around my erection, while I came right along with her, fucking exploding into my pants, and not giving a shit at that particular moment. With one breathless gust, I removed my face from her neck, and watched the last second of her orgasm. She came down panting, finally releasing my hair and my crotch, and going limp once again in my arms. I finally removed my hand from between her legs, using it to rub her arm up and down as I tried to steady my breathing, and releasing the ground from my grasp. I wiped my hand off on my leg before bringing it up to stroke her forehead lovingly, feeling the layer of sweat that had accumulated with her desperation. We were catching our breath and recovering as I stroked her lovingly, and finally felt the guilt of what the fuck I did. I closed my eyes and sighed, letting my head fall completely against the trunk of the tree, and feeling like a fucking dickhead for enjoying it so much when I wasn't supposed to. I felt her grab my free hand and bring it to her stomach, where she grasped it in both of hers. We sat there for a long while as I stroked her forehead and hair, and she held my hand on her stomach, caressing it lovingly. Eventually, my girl shifted above me, finally moving her head to turn to face me fully. I opened my eyes and darted them to hers. And she was fucking glowing. Smiling all fucking huge and looking at me like she just won the state lottery, or some shit. Basically confirming my suspicions that she had never had an orgasm before. Made sense. I got her first kiss, first drunk, first grope, first orgasm. But my girl was happy. In fact, she looked downright fucking euphoric, which made me more than a little smug as I smiled dryly at her and straightened out her pretty blue shirt, feeling inclined to declare the experiment a success. I glanced out at the semi-meadow, which was becoming darkened as the sun was beginning to set behind the clouds. I stroked her forehead once more, and planted a soft kiss on it before I helped her up onto her feet. She was still grinning like an idiot, and I'm sure I probably was too, as I removed my jacket and put it around her shoulders. It was getting colder as dusk approached, and she looked thankful for it. I carried her sack for her after she placed the iPod back into it. As we began the journey back to the riverbank, I turned to my girl at my side. She was swimming in my black leather jacket, with her little hand in mine, and I was fucking loving the way she was smiling up at me. "I love you," I whispered sincerely, squeezing her hand for emphasis since the expletive wasn't there. She smiled wider, and stepped closer to my side, while squeezing my hand back.
"I love you too,"
she said simply while leaning into me, following me back to the river, where we walked to the boat hand in hand, smiling, satisfied, and truly fucking loved. Defeating the defeat.